everyone. Welcome to Cyber Smart Conversations with Harsha. I'm so delighted to be joined today by Veronica Unnikrishnan, partner and global head of sales and marketing at 5. Veronica is responsible for growing the business for 5Q's 4 service line and leads employee engagement initiatives. She is a cultural transformation catalyst with years of experience leading change and delivering large and complex technology, process, and people initiatives across multiple industries, and is a DBJ Women in Technology Award winner. Thank you for joining, and how are you doing today?
Oh, Harsha, I am so delighted that we're having this conversation. We know each other for so many years now, and you are the cyber lady over there in Canada, and I am one of the cyber ladies here in the US. So this conversation was overdue. So happy to be here with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Veronica. Great to have you, and pleasure is all mine. One of the questions I always like to start with is to share about the career path. We know each other for such a long time, and I know you have a great passion for cybersecurity. And like many other professionals in the industry, we really didn't start our way out that way. So would like to hear about your career path.
Thank you. That's a really good question, because not necessarily everybody has to have a detailed career or a college degree that says cybersecurity to be a cybersecurity professional. I started my career when I decided to be a computer engineer major over there in Mexico. This was when the introduction of personal computers were happening. So yes, I'm dating myself a little bit here, but that's what happened. And I chose that career because it was new, it was different. So I am one of the first women in Latin America that graduated with a computer science degree. And then that just launched me into focusing into technology, but I've always enjoyed the people aspect. So the business side of a technology company is what really has driven me to select which career paths are the ones that I'm going to actually cross. And what I have done in the past 25 years is that I have been choosing different stages of my career based on the skills that I wanted to learn, the growth that I wanted to have. Early in my career, I decided that I wanted to become a COO of a technology company. Now, how I was going to do that, I still didn't know how, but I knew that I had to acquire certain skills, that I had to make sure that I could understand certain business terms and communicate well. And then how do you actually convince people and get your ideas through? So I went through operational positions in program management, which helped me a lot learn about different aspects of technology. And in one of those opportunities that I had about 10 years ago with CBRE, I joined to create and transform the organization for an acquisition that they had. And one of the segments that we had to work on was the cybersecurity aspect. So within every single technology arm that we had to migrate and ensure that the acquisition happened, cybersecurity was my first introduction. So that's how I learned how some of these new concepts were coming to me. The project of the execution of the projects were just like you have an agile delivery, but itself, the content and the reason why, it's when I started to absorb and understand. And then I was very fortunate that that's when I met Don Goldstein. He was back then the CISO at CBRE. And once that he retired, he decided to open a new company that was going to be focused on cybersecurity for the properties and the buildings, because this is an area that had not been covered yet. So when he invited me to join him 4 years ago, I was more than delighted. And that is when really my peers and the people that have been working and developing this company have shown me what cybersecurity is about. So my knowledge, it is not necessarily deep on the cybersecurity aspect, but it is about the business of cybersecurity. So that's my take on cybersecurity.
Thank you for sharing that, Veronica. That's so inspirational. Set a milestone, understand what is that you want to achieve in life, and then carve your way. You are a role model for so many young women entering this field.
Thank you. Thank you. I enjoy actually developing and coaching young adults because I believe that somebody saw something in me back then when I was starting my career. And those opportunities are opened by coaches, mentors, and sponsors. And I feel that this is now my opportunity to give back. And so this is why I choose to go ahead and mentor and help those younger people that are starting their career to flourish and become whoever they want to be, with some advice that we can give them based on our learning. So
Yes.
it's all about sharing what you know. You never know what impact you might have in somebody. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, you learn so much from working, from life. And when you pass it on to the younger generation, they already have those tips and what your learning is. And that's amazing. So this ties to our topic, diversity, equity, and inclusion in cybersecurity. I was reading one of the blogs, and it was mentioned there that one of the Gartner predictions for 2023 revealed challenges confronting CISOs are evolving beyond technology, cybersecurity, and controls. By 2025, lack of talent or human failure will be responsible for over half of significant cyber incidents. And we already know like how much people are vulnerable to these cyber incidents. So with increase in cyber attacks against organizations of all sizes and sectors, with property technology coming recently in this attack phase, the importance of cybersecurity measures has always recognized as one of the top concerns for organizations. But we still see cybersecurity as one of the most critical challenges organizations are facing, even in terms of roles continue to go unfulfilled. One of the solutions that comes to mind is to prioritize diversity, equity, and inclusion. So, what's your take? Like, what DEI means to you?
So that's an excellent question, and thank you for asking, because for me personally, DEI is integrated in my bare bones. I am originally from Mexico. My husband is from India. My son was born here in the United States, so I have a little United Nations at home. I live and breathe personally what that is. But here in the organization, it's also important because what we believe, and you will see that we have here our values, we stand for each other. And STAND actually is our core principles that we follow, but it's not only a word or an acronym or something that we put on the wall. It's actually the behaviors that we display and what actions we're taking into consideration. So S stands for service, T for trust, A for accountability, N for nurture, and D for delivery. And within the nurturing piece, we actually took a decision early on how we were going to morph and ensure that our culture just seamlessly would have your diversity integrated without necessarily stating that you're doing something, but that you could feel that your voice was counted, that you would feel yourself every day that you would come to work, that you can actually share your thoughts, because there is value in the different ways of thinking, the lifestyles, the values that everybody brings in, the culture behind you. And so innovation, we have read a lot about that, that it is usually also tied to how much diversity you have in an organization. And that's part of it, right? And we were just talking about the younger generation. The younger generation, when you're trying to attract and retain that talent, for this new generation, inclusivity is very important. The acceptance of who they are, it's very important. When they're looking for jobs, they're looking for jobs that are going to fulfill them and that aligns to what they believe. So if they have an organization in front of them with a job description and another one, and one actually has emphasis on culture and DEI, and you can actually see and feel it, they will most likely choose that because that's what they're looking for. So part of the challenges that we're having today with the pipeline and how do we attract all this talent is for us to create this environment that will be attractive to them.
Yes, and I completely agree with you. You know, as cyber attacks become more and more complex, industry needs unique ideas to, detect and defend from emerging threats. And we have seen individuals coming from a non-traditional skill set. They have provided a different lens to view a problem, to view a security problem, have helped build solutions to avoid future potential attacks. But even though we have these examples, and we have seen, diverse cybersecurity teams performs better than others, there are so many articles published and so many case studies done on that, so many surveys, and how different perspectives have built better defense against these threats. I myself have experienced, because there are not so many OT focused cyber professionals. So, one of the thing that I have done is people coming from IT background or people working in different sectors, trained them to become OT cyber professional. But we still see challenges associated with diversity, equity, and inclusion in cybersecurity teams. So what do you think are some of the barriers in adoption?
I think some of the barriers is that you need to go and find where the diverse group of people are, right? When you are looking for the talent, you have to make an effort to make sure that you are reaching out to the diverse organization. So if you know that they are sectors, that they are colleges, that they are also having a special program for minorities or for a group that will require a little bit of a push, intentionally go and search for those and post there and tell them of the opportunities that you might have. I was just at Realcom a couple of weeks ago, and we introduced to the whole community, they were 25 years anniversary of Realcom, and a group of ladies, we got together and we said, let's introduce a whole track of real talk. Let's make sure that we are opening the reality of the conversation and that we are talking about DEI also in conferences like this. And so for the first time, we had a Breaking Barriers breakfast. And we designed these pins that we gave across the call community, and we just had really good open conversations that we didn't even have before. So that actually brought in new ideas and new organizations, nonprofits that exist, that they're doing something for the less representative groups. And now we know about them. So that is what we need to do. We really need to do it with intention. That's part of the aspects and take action, right?
Yes, like someone needs to break the ice. We are seeing the change. It's slow, like very slow. Because as organizations are planning to make changes and moving to the next year, we are one of the things that we are seeing is CISOs prioritizing increasing diversity on their teams. Earlier, it was organization wide, but now we are seeing, specific to security teams. One of the reason that comes to my mind is that people coming from different technology backgrounds, non-security skill set, like you said, you change skill set, you learn and you adapt to new skill set, and people with different mindsets, they can bring new and better solutions to be able to help mitigate the cyber risk, because it's increasing and it's getting complex and it's getting spread beyond IT to other sectors. So what's your take on, like, why CISO should prioritize DI initiatives and what needs to be done?
So that's a very important point. And just by personal experience only, I know that the group of technologists that I usually work with, they are more of an introvert kind of behavior and aspects of their lives. They love to be around their technology, focused on what they need to do, especially when you're looking at cyber attacks and doing analytics on vulnerabilities and things like that. You really need a lot of focus. And so it's kind of like you are in your own bubble. So when you start seeing that, you need to create now environments where that is good for them, that is okay for them, that they don't have to be, for example, in a space where they're going to have to be talking and being around people if their best behavior and knowledge comes from being focused and concentrated in, what they need to do. Well, let's give them that opportunity, right? So it is about really understanding what the personality of this skill also brings, and that we can actually do something that will enable them to be better. So for CISOs, it's very, very important to get to know your people so you can actually create those environments that are going to allow them to really be a little bit more alert and being able to see what other people might not. It's really interesting.
Yes, like technology change is one thing, but before that, cultural change and the mindset change is really important.
Yes.
Um, we all have seen diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's a topic that has gained increased focus worldwide in the past couple of years. Organizations of all sizes are now, turning their spotlight on these initiatives, but are often unsure of where to start. So, as we move towards the end of the podcast, one of the questions I feel our listeners will benefit the most is where to start the journey.
Yes, and the start can be as very simple or as very complex, because an organization that it's already established, you already have your principles, behaviors, and what the organization is bringing just as such. And so you do need to initiate a program that, with conversations and input from the people in your organization, can be part of the program that is going to drive why are we doing this, why the conversation is important. That is one step. The other one is when you are a leader in an organization, if you want this change to happen, you are the driver. And not necessarily this is a topic of HR or a topic of the person that is in charge of DEI. This is the topic of every leader in the organization, that they have to believe and they have to take action. And the third opportunity, when you have a smaller company that you're bringing up, well, it's great. Like, for example, we started, right, our culture, and then we established our values, and now we reward the value behavior. So it's about not only doing, but also recognizing what you're doing and letting people be aware of those actions that you're taking so they can participate, but also say, hey, I am part of what the culture of this company is. And that's when you're going to really engage them and you're going to have them really cheer for your efforts, right? So those are my suggestions.
Amazing. People are willing to share and learn together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And diversity, equity, and inclusion, like cybersecurity, hold different meanings for different people. And you have brought a lot of clarity to these terms. Thank you so much for sharing your insights.
Oh, thank you, Harsha, very much. And thank you for having this conversation. It is very important that we continue expanding on it. And I am so glad that we got together.
Yes, this is a much needed conversation, and I'm so happy to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Harsha.